Mr. Vernon Mohungu is a network automation advocate, a technical writer, a mentor, and a community leader who helps engineers bridge the gap between traditional networking, software development, and AI. He also serves as a part-time technology advisor to NextLink, which is a French Maritime recruitment company that connects top technology talent across Europe, Africa, and the Indian Ocean region with several companies across the world. He was recognized among the top talents in Africa during the Cisco NetRiders 2016 competition, and he's also the author of more than 50 well-acclaimed technical articles read by professionals around the world, and he's a Cisco Press author aspirant continuously being mentored by Jason Goley. Currently, he contributes to the AGNTCY project under the Linux Foundation, which is an open initiative focused on building interoperability standards and an open ecosystem for AI agents to discover, communicate, and collaborate across platforms. He's also the creator of the 100 Days of Pi ATS initiative, which aims to strengthen automation skills at the global networking community. Mr. Vernon is regularly consulted by communities, organizations, and technology leaders worldwide for his expertise in network automation, technical communication, and community building. So he's a strong believer in an Africa without borders. Through technology and collaboration, he's passionate about empowering the next generation of leaders, which is exactly what this webinar is about. This vision motivates him to mentor and train young professionals every year in technology, writing, professional development across the continent. So without further ado, please help me to welcome our speaker, the Vernon Mohungu. We're so excited to have you here once again. The stage is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think everyone can listen to me right now.
You're audible. Can hear you.
Yes. Thank you for welcoming me for another webinar series. I'm so happy to partake for the mountain of automation. I always believe that automation is not a replacement for the network workforce. It's just a way to accelerate everything we do in order to become more agile in this world. So today I prepared a short slide because I don't want to give more theory. I want just to give a short presentation about Linux for people who don't know Linux. Then we are going to have some short hands-on. So most of time there is a debate online. When you go on LinkedIn or you go on Reddit, many people discuss what is the best operating system. Is it Linux? Is it Windows? So in my opinion, after working for more than 10 years, um, Linux is the system for network automation. And thanks to Linux today, we have many distributions. Why many distributions? Because Linux is open source. By open source, it means it's free and everyone can customize. Even if you are using an Android phone, an iPhone today, you can download a Linux distribution and you can run a Linux distribution on your phone. It means beyond open source, most of people think open source means just free. But for me, it does not mean just free. Open source means also innovation because we bring many people to work. They come to bring new ideas, fresh ideas. They communicate, they innovate, and this is why Linux is the most popular distribution today. So it was created in 1991 by Linux Torvalds in Finland, but today it's used worldwide. If you go into space, if you go into network automation, if you go in even in AI right now, Linux is used everywhere. So most of the time people ask me question, where should I start with Linux? This is one of the most important questions I receive all the time on LinkedIn. Currently, there are more than 600 distributions. So if you go on Reddit, Cisco communities or Microsoft communities, most of people talk about distros. When you talk about distros, it means distributions. You have Ubuntu, you have Manjaro, you have OpenSUSE. So One of the most common questions that comes to me is, where should I start with Linux? And most of time, I always advise people to start with Ubuntu because Ubuntu is beginner friendly. This is the distribution that will help you to learn more about Linux. And as soon as you are learning more Linux, you'll understand other distributions. The goal is not to master all the distribution because we have more than 600. If you go on Android phones, if you have a Samsung phone, a Tecno phone, an Infinix phone, you can use Termux. Termux is also a Linux distribution for phones. It means you can work with your phone, you can SSH to your phone anytime when you use Termux. We have 600 distributions right now in the world. It's too much, and I don't know if there is an engineer who can master the 600 distributions. So Ubuntu is beginner friendly because most of time people use Ubuntu. After using Ubuntu, it will be possible for you to understand the rest of distribution as soon as you work in different environments. So here, I'm going to talk more about the Linux file system because when I go on LinkedIn, Twitter, and other social media, I see all the time people sharing. This is the Linux cheat sheet. You have to memorize 100 commands, 200 commands. If you memorize 1 or 200 commands, you are going to get hired quickly because you know Linux. Unfortunately, it not, because with Linux, the goal is not to memorize first commands, is to understand how the file system work. For example, here you have the bin directory, you have the boot directory, you have the dev. It means you have first to understand what is happening in each directory. So in Linux, when you talk about directory, this is the equivalent to Windows when you talk about folders. So in the Linux philosophy, we say everything is a file. For example, if we see the Linux file system here, there's many directories. Bin, you have var, you have tmp, you have media, you have proc, you have root, you have sbin. For example, when you are working as a network engineer, you have to understand what is happening inside my system. For example, in the proc directory, this is where you can check all the live events, all the processes happening on your PC or in your system, in your network. We can find them in the proc directory. You are here. This is one of the most important directory in Linux. Then you have the boot directory. You can also understand more about the boot directory. This is where most of files that helps Linux to boot are stored. So imagine you are a network engineer. If you have a problem with your system, you have to ask yourself, where is the problem? Is it in the proc directory? Is it in the boot directory? Is it in the bin directory? The goal as a network engineer, even if you're not yet a network engineer, is to understand first the file system. What's happening in each directory beyond memorizing command? I know you can memorize command as you want. 10 commands, 50, 100, 200, it's good. But the most important part of learning Linux as a network engineer is to understand the file system. What is happening in each directory? For example, if an hacker wants to attack our infrastructure today, where is he going inside the directory? For example, the they want to find the passwords. If they want to find the passwords, they want to destroy the hash, the password hash. They will go in the etc directory because in the etc directory, this is where most of Linux configurations are stored. This is where you have the etc passwords, and this is where you have the etc shadow. For example, the etc password, it was the first directory used in Linux, and step by step as Linux was evolving, they discovered that it was possible to enter in a system, then retrieve passwords with some tools. So they change. Now we have the etc shadow. If you enter in the etc shadow, I'm going to show you. If you enter in the etc shadow with your Linux shell, you are going to find that will show you the name of the users in your system. For example, if you have 3 users, unfortunately, they will not show you the passwords. they will only show you the hash. This is the password hash. So if you know well Linux, it's possible to destroy the hash in order to find the password. This is the role of the network engineer, because not all the network engineers are hackers or cybersecurity experts, but I know the goal of the network engineer is to think like a hacker all the time. Here, there's many companies today using Linux. You have Tesla, you have SpaceX, even into space, you have NASA. They have their own distributions because we have more than 300 Linux distributions. For example, for Cisco, for people working all the time with Cisco iOS, Cisco iOS is working under the distribution we call Wind River. When you use Cisco iOS XR, it's Linux. That's why even when you navigate in the Cisco iOS operating system, it's like you're navigating in Linux. Conf-t, enable, show, and so on. It's built under the Wind River distribution, and Cisco continues to work on the Wind River's distribution, especially for Cisco iOS XR. The Pentagon, the NSA, the National Security Agency of the United States, they use Linux. It means Linux is not an operating system, it's a kernel. And from the kernel, we have many distributions today. We have Rocky Linux. For example, we have Ubuntu server, especially for people working in network engineering today. You have Ubuntu server, you have Alpine Linux, you have Kali Linux. For people working in penetration testing, trying to understand what is happening in different systems, they use Kali Linux. Then use today in network automation. I know they use Rocky Linux because we have CentOS. Unfortunately, CentOS will be abandoned. It will be the end of life of CentOS. So the new operating system right now for network engineers, network automation is Rocky Linux. And in AI, I know today many people are talking about AI, agentic AI, GPUs, CPUs. So Linux is used everywhere. For example, today we have eBPF. I'm going to send resources after the webinar. You are going to discover eBPF. eBPF is one of the most important technology today. So eBPF helps network engineers, for example, to write some scripts inside the Linux kernel without affecting the code inside the code. It means today there are some companies where they don't want to buy costly firewalls. They can write some scripts inside the kernel, customize the script so that they can handle all the network traffic with eBPF. eBPF is the most important technology today. And for network engineers, network automation engineers, it's super important because it's used everywhere. If you go at Netflix, Netflix is using eBPF. If you take Samsung, if you take NASA, many companies today are using eBPF. And it's one of the most important technology you should know as soon as you continue to learn Linux. Then one of the challenges we have today, as I said before, many people want to memorize Linux command. I have to memorize. I have to know. Unfortunately, if you don't understand first the file system, you can't go ahead because the file system, this is the starting point to understand Linux. As soon as you understand the file system, what is happening inside each directory? What can I do inside each directory? You will learn Linux, you will master Linux, you will master the fundamentals, and step by step, as you are exposed to many experience, you are going to understand. So I'm not going to share more theory today because this session is going to be more practical. This is my goal. I'm not going just to explain. Explaining is not enough. You have to see Linux in action. What happens when you work in Linux? So I'm going to share my CLI right now. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we do hear you and we can see your screen.
Yes. So once you log in Linux for the first time, for people not accustomed to work with Linux, I know many people use Windows. Yes, Windows is most used in many companies. For network engineers in engineering communities, engineering environments, Linux is most used. So you have to understand how to work with the CLI. You have to understand how to navigate in the CLI. So for the first time, if you log in your system, you are going to see here, for example, here you have Verlaine DVI. Verlaine DVI means this is the username of the user using the system. The system I'm using right now is Ubuntu. The distribution I'm using is Ubuntu. And here you have MB. You know, I am a huge fan of Kobe Bryant. It's Mamba mentality. So Mamba mentality is the name of the machine or the host name of the PC I am using. And here you have the sign. The sign is called a tilde. The tilde shows that you are in the home directory. This is the meaning. And the dollar symbol here, it does not mean money, as we may think, but it means you are a regular user. This is where you are right now. You are not the root user because in Windows, we have admins. Admin can change many things based of the privilege they have. So on Linux, you have the root user. So here, this is the meaning. You have the username, then you have the name of the host or the PC. Here you are in the home directory, and it means you are a regular user. This is what happens. So to know where I am right now, the first command we always use is pwd. When I type pwd, the goal is to know where am I right now inside my system. If I run the command, it shows me that I am in the home directory and my username is Verlaine DVI. This is the meaning here. So if I want to know now who am I, what is my name or my username using the system, here I'm going to run the command who am I. And when I run the command who am I, it's going to show me that you are Verlaine DVI. This is what happens here. You are Verlaine DVI. So if, for example, I want to see what is my IP address, I know on Windows we type ipconfig, but on Linux, most Linux distributions we type ifconfig. If I run ifconfig right now, it's going to show me the IP address. But on Linux, do not be afraid of the outputs. You have to be excited about the output because as soon as you learn with the distribution, you are going to understand different outputs. For example, here, this is an interface, Ethernet 0. Here, I have the IP address of my PC. This is the IP address. And here I have the subnet mask /20. This is what I have right now. Here I have this is the IP IPv version 4, and here you have version 6. This is what we have here. So if I go down, it shows me LO. LO, it means this is the loopback interface. And this is the address. This is the subnet mask. So as soon as you work with the different distributions, you're going to understand. But if you try with Ubuntu or CentOS or Broken Linux, you are going to get a slightly different output, but it's still the same. So this is what we have here. And if I have to clean player, if you run player, it's going to play everything for you. So this is what you have. And here, if I tap the command ls, I want to see what do I have right now on my system. If I run ls, it will show me that this is the folders and this is the files. So if you want to understand more here, the blue text This is the folders I have downloaded from GitHub. So the white text, this is the file. This is a different here on Ubuntu. If you have green files, it shows, okay, this is the folders and this is the test. So if I run ls, you see list, it means list. It will show me everything I have right now. So if I run ls-l, the goal is to see a long listing format. So it's going to display for me a long listing format for me. So for many network engineers, I know not all the network engineers know Linux, I know. But step by step, as soon as you dedicate your time, you are going to understand. So the output here is showing me that there's the user named Verlaine. So here, if we start by here, this is the total of the files in bytes. So here you have the permission. Permissions are most important on Linux. Every time people work with Linux, you want to understand permission. This is where most of hackers today focus the most. They understand how to set permissions and how to check if they are targeting your system or your infrastructure. They want to understand what is happening on many PCs. Okay, maybe the permission is not well secured. So what can we do as hackers? We can access, we can change permissions. This is what happens. So here, this shows that this is the directory, and here you and here you have RWXR. It means here, me as a user, I can read, write, and execute. For example, this file, netlog.txt. Me as a user, as an admin, I can run, I can execute. It means I can open the file, I can delete the file, I can do everything I want with the file. So if I had another user on the system and give him the file, the user can only read the file, open the file, but cannot modify anything or cannot delete anything inside the file. This is what happens with Linux. And as soon as you learn step by step, you are going to understand. So most of time, network engineers want to work inside different folders. So in Windows, it's easy because with Windows, we use a graphical user interface. Unfortunately, with Ubuntu or CentOS or Rocky Linux, you are going to use the CLI. I know today we have automation. Automation does not mean that the CLI is almost dead. No, this is the place to learn. This is the place to understand first. Before automating complex tasks, you have to understand first what is happening in my CLI. What do I running right now? Instead of memorizing 100 of command or 200 of command, it's not enough. You have to understand the file system. What is happening right now? What can I do? So here, if I want to create a directory here is the equivalent of a folder in Windows. I'm going to run a command mkdir. So here, I'm going to say, let's create a folder called netclan HQ. So I'm going to create here, it's going to be netclan HQ. So the directory is created. How to see now the directory? I'm going to run again ls. So here I see now we have a folder or a directory called netclan. So how to enter now in netclan? To enter netclan, I run the command cd. Cd says means change directory. If I want to check first where am I right now, pwd present working directory, it says I am in home. So if I change here now cd followed by netclan HQ, I am now in netclan HQ. If I run again pwd, it shows me now that okay, I am in home Verlaine DVI, then netclan HQ. This is what we do here. So inside this directory, we can create some files. How to create files? Most of the time, network engineers or network automation engineers, they create files in Linux. So to create a file, we use the command touch. For example, we want to create just a simple file. Touch, for example, IP addresses dot test. This is the file I am creating right now. Then the file is created. So to open this file, I'm going to use now editors. The first editors we are going to use the most today is Nano. If I want to open the IP addresses dot test, I'm going to run Nano, then IP address. Once I'm here, this is the editor right now. For example, here I can write a netclan team, a netclan team. This is the IP addresses. Then I can enter here. I can write some random IP addresses. One, another one. Another one. So how to leave now the editors if I want to save what I'm writing right now? So I'm going to use Control X. Once you run Control X, they are going to ask you a question, save modified buffer. Click Y. If you click Y, then enter. It means now the file is created. So if I want to see now in the netclan HQ folder or directory, how many files do I have right now? If I run ls, it's going to show me that, okay, this is the file I have created right now. So if I run ls-l to see the file creation, it's going to show me that this is the file. And if you check here, it's going to show you the size in bytes. This is the size in bytes. This is the username. This is the date, and this is the hours of the file created. So this is the most important part here you need to know. So if I want to go back, for example, from netclan to home, what am I going to do? Here I'm going to say, okay, if I write cd, it means I'm going to go back to my home folder. On the home folder, if I run ls, I have many folders here. Then I have a file. This is the file of the lab we are going to do. The goal here is to move now. How to move this file from my home folder to the netclan HQ folder. So here I'm going to use the command mv move. So I'm going to move it to netclan HQ. So here after mv, I'm going to use the name of the file mv netlog, then follow it by the name of the folder. This is the folder. And if I want to move to the folder cd or directory, sorry, here, ls, it means here I have now my file, netlogs.txt. So how to see the content, for example, for IP addresses test or netlog. Network engineers most of the time use the command cat. Cat means concatenate. For example, if I want to see the content inside the IP addresses test, cat followed by the name IP addresses. So here it's going to show me this is the message I wrote inside the Nano editor. So here now with the netlog test, the goal is to see how many logs do we have inside. So if I run the concatenate command for netlogs now, here we have thousands of logs inside. So I tried to generate the logs myself. Then you are going to see inside the logs, you have some devices called netclan delivery, netclan DevOps, netclan management, netclan production. So here I have thousands of logs. So the goal now for network engineers as soon as you grow with Ubuntu, you learn because Ubuntu this is the first distribution you can use quickly. You can learn quickly with it. Then you can move to Rocky Linux if you want to automate more some tasks. So here you have to know some tools. You have to know some tools like grep. For example, here it's too long. For example, grep is a command. This command helps us to find words or specific text inside a file. So I have 10,000 um, lines inside my netlog file. So here, if I run grep, I can say, show me where we have the keyword auth failed. And after searching for these words or keywords with grep, I'm going now to add the netlog test. Then I'm going to run the command. So here, if you check, if you see now, I have several odds fails. Unfortunately, it's impossible to know when you have 10,000 logs, 1 million logs. It's not easy to see um, all the content inside, even to count. How many failed logs do I have right now? How many successful events do I have right now? So you have to understand the importance of grep. The grep command helps you to find keywords or patterns, critical keywords you are looking for um, inside a file. So here, for example, the challenge maybe you are at work and an admin say, okay, can you check for us the 81 failed request or failed authentication inside the logs? You have 10 minutes to give us. This is the challenge, and this is where Linux becomes interesting. So here, what you are going to do, if I want to see the first 10 lines of the file, here I'm going to use the command heads. You use heads dash, for example, 10, then netlogs. Here it's going to show us the first 10 lines of the file. So here, if you check the first 10 lines of the file, the first device here is net netclan prods. This is the first device. And we have another netclan prod here, netclan management, and so on. This is the goal here. The goal is to see, okay, what is the first 10 line in 10,000 lines of logs inside my file? Linux can show you. That's why we use the command head. Then you can also use the command tail. With tail, you can say, okay, show me the last 50 lines of net logs. So it's going to show us the last 50 lines. So this is how we do with Linux. So instead of that, you can also want, okay, I would like to see how many lines or how many lines do I have inside my netlog files. So here we use the command words count wc, then dash l. Once you finish to run the command, you add the name of the file, and here it's going to show that this is the number of lines we have inside the netlogs file. So as soon as you're going to use the file, your PC is going to slow down a bit before uploading everything on your Linux system. It's normal. It may take 2 to 3 minutes or 5 minutes to finish all the lines inside a file you want to save. So this is the command here. Word count list. So it's going to show you here the number of lines inside this folder. So the goal now here, we want to see we have 10,000 lines of logs. So how to filter some information now. For example, we would like to see what is the total number of logs? What is the number of authentication errors? Because we have some authentication errors like auth fails. What is the number of successful events? So here, the goal now is to write a script. So To write a script, we are going to open Nano inside NetClan HU. If we run here, Nano, we are going to write a first line, and I'm going to explain step by step. Do not be afraid. Do not overthink about Linux. If it's the first time, step by step, you are going to understand. So most of time, once you are inside Nano, we use the pound sign, the exclamation point, bin, bash. What does it mean? It means this line tells the distribution or the operating system, this is the language you should use to execute the script. If we replace with Python, if you are writing Python scripts, we are going to write pound, exclamation point, bin bash. Because in the bin directory, this is where we find most of tools. Python, Bash, Perl, Go, most of language are stored in the directory. That's why you see this directory. But if you don't understand the file system, you are going to find like, maybe this line is intricate. I can't understand. So this is the goal here. Then for the net logs, we are going to create a variable. I know most of time, many people are afraid of automation, of scripts, but to not be afraid is just the first step. So here we are going to write a variable like file, and we are going to assign a value to the variable. The value is going to be netlogs.text. This is the value of the variable. So the goal here is to write a script in order to filter some critical information with Linux. And this is why you should attend more of the sessions we are going to have, because we are going to practice more. So here we are going to write the title of our script. Here we are going to write something like, we put first the apostrophe. We can count, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then here we can say this is the title of our reports. Reports, network reports, logs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's just for readability. You can use the equal signs. Once you write, the equal command here help us to display information on the terminal. That's why I'm using this command. Then, after writing this line, the goal here is to add another apostrophe here, because if you don't finish it, if you start with a delimiter, you have to finish with another delimiter. So here, the second command is going to be echo. So here, the goal is to ask the system to give us the number of total logs, and we are going to run the script inside the shell. So here, it's going to be total logs, 2 points here. Then we put the dollar symbol. The dollar symbol is to ask the operating system to give us the value. So here we are going to put here. Then here, instead of using the grep commands, we are going to ask the system use the word count commands, then with the parameter L to show us the number of lines we have inside our file. Then we are going to use this sign. This sign is to say you have to redirect the outputs you are going to find here in file. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add apostrophe, then the dollar symbol, file, we close the parenthesis, then we close again. The goal here is to say, if you read this file, this is the variable, read this variable in order to give us information find in the file. So this is what we are going to do. Then another echo here is going to be echo show us now the authentication authentication errors. Authentication errors. So to see the authentication errors here, instead of using the word count, we use the word count just to see the number of lines inside the netlogs file. So it's going to display for us on the screen the information. So here we are going to use again the dollar symbol. Then instead of word count, we are going to use grep. So here with grep, we are going to use -c, the parameters. The parameters is to give us the number of logs errors about authentication. Then grep C, after grep C, we are going to use the keywords we are looking for. Here, it ought, failed, we close. Then here, we are going to ask again the system to give us the information inside a file called netlogs. This is why we are putting all the time the file here, the file here. So here, I'm going to close the parentheses. Again, we are going to write again echo. So the goal of echo here is just to display the information on the screen. So here, we are going to write another echo, display to the terminal now the power failure message. So, or power failure warnings. So it's going to display the power failure warnings. So here, we are going to write the same instructions. We open the parentheses. We use grep because we want to see a particular keywords about power failure warning. So here, -c. So here, it's going to be power failure. So I am here. Then I'm going to ask again, give me the information inside the file called netlog. So it's going to give me the information. This is the first part here. Then another echo is to see now the number of successful events inside our file called netlog. So here I'm going to write successful event. Then I'm going to use grep again. I open the parentheses, grep C to count the number of this particular keyword, success. Show me the number of successful event inside my network log file. So here we are going to ask again, file. Then we are going to close. So here, this is the first instruction. The first line here is to ask the operating system to choose which language we are going to use to execute the scripts. And here you have a variable. The variable is file, and the value of the variable is netlogs test. And here, the other line you have the name of the reports, network report log. It means if you're a network engineer, step by step, you can write some short scripts inside your network to test and to see what happens when you write such scripts. So here we are going to have the same, and here to create a space, we are going to write another echo here, and after this one, we can write now another echo. The goal now here, we are going to give it maybe 5 echo symbols, and now the name is going to be authentication errors. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we close. And after closing, we can write the command here grep auth failed. I'm going to explain what the meaning of which line. Auth failed. We have auth failed here. Then look inside this file. Okay, we are here, and so on. So this is the script I'm writing. It's super short. I don't want to make it super long. This is just the first introduction. Here we have the hash bank or the shebang, how we call it in network engineering, the shebang. This is the first line of a script you write inside an editor to ask the system which language to use in order to execute the script. Here you have the variable called file, and the value is netlog. And here, this line, you have echo network report log. This is the title of the reports we are going to write here. Here, echo total logs. This is the number of lines we want to know inside our file. So here, we use the word count commands, and after the word count command, we add a L switch. The L switch is to show us how many lines we have inside. So where are we going to see? We are going to see inside this file. That's why we put the dollar symbol before the file, because the variable is here, and inside the variable we have this value net logs. So this is the first script we're going to write. Here, echo authentication errors. We want to see the number of these keywords, auth failed. How many times did some devices fail in the network with failed network authentication? So we are going to ask again this file variable to give us the number of failed authentication. Here, we want to see the number of power failure inside the network. And here, we want to see how many successful events do we have inside our network. This is the goal. And this echo here, I use it just to create a space. Then here, I create another echo authentication errors. The goal here, we want to see the number of authentication logs errors. But here, we want to see the number of lines we have inside our files called netlogs. And the rest show us just the statistics, but do not give us the log. This is the meaning of the script. So once I finish, I click Control X, and a question is asked, save modified buffer. I'm going to click yes. So here I'm going to write, for example, netclan dot sh. Why sh? Because sh is the file format used for bash. And once I finish, I validate with enter. This is what is happening right now. So if I want to see now my file, what am I going to do? I'm going to run ls. I'm still inside the netclan HQ. ls, it's going to show me that this is the netclan file. Unfortunately, this file is not executable already. It means you can't execute this file. That's why you see it's it's just like a regular file, a normal file. So here, if I want to see what's inside the netclan.sh, I can write the command concatenate cat netclan sh. It's going to show me, okay, this is your script. This is what you wrote inside the nano. So to execute now, what I'm going to do to make it more executable, it's like on Windows. If you have a setup, you can run the setup quickly. So here we want to convert now the file as an executable. So here I'm going to use change mode command. Then I'm going to use the plus sign and the X sign. Here it means I want now to execute this folder. I want to make this file executable. So here, change mode, plus X, then the name of the file, netclan.sh. If I run now, the goal now is to see, is it executable now? If I tap ls inside the netclan HK folder, you can see now the file is here now. It means it's now executable. If we have some mistake inside before running the script, it's going to show us like with Python. Here, I'm going to run bash, then followed by the name netclan sh. So the script is working. It shows me now the number of logs we are looking for. Auth failed, auth failed. If you look for auth failed, you are going to see auth failed everywhere here. It's going to check for devices. So here, after writing the scripts, what can I see? This is the total number of logs. It's 10,000. The number of authentication error inside this file is 81. The power failure warning, we have 42. And the successful events, we have more than 9,000. This is the goal here. So if I want to see now my script inside the Nano editor, what can I do? If I run nano netclan.sh, if I enter inside, now you have colored script, because before, when it was just a file, it was impossible to see colored file here. So here right now I have colored files. So what if I want, instead of the script displaying for me the script, I would like now to send all the auth fields inside a file, for example, called, for example, here we can say, send all the authentication failure you are going to find for me, and send the authentication failure in a file called, for example, investigation netplan dot text. So what we are going to do now is, instead of the scripts to display for us the number of authentication failures, so we are going to send everything displayed to the screen inside this file. So this is what we are going to do. And here we can write another echo message now is, for example, we would like to see on the screen, for example, success. Okay, for example, we can say authentication errors saved to investigation netclan dot test. So I'm going to finish my script. Once I finish to edit the script here, to update the script, what I'm going to do, I'm going to run the same commands. Control X, Y, enter. So let's see now, if I run now bash netclan sh, now instead of receiving the 81 logs here, because it's cumbersome to read. So once I finish to run the script, authentication errors, this is the name, the title of the authentication errors here. And this is the message I wrote inside my script. Authentication error saved to investigation netclan. If I run ls inside this directory, ls, it's going to show me that right now I have investigation netclan. If I run cat to see the content of investigation netclan, it's going to be cat investigation netclan. This is the 81 logs about authentication failure right now. This is the most important part. So here, if I want to use grep, I would like to see now inside investigation netclan. Show me just the netclan logs that failed. So here I'm going to use grep Auth fail, NetClan here, then investigation. So this is the investigation we have right now about the NetClan device fraud. This fraud device generated several logs several times. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 logs about this fraud device. So what can I do if I want to retrieve just the 6 logs instead of all the logs, the 81 logs? Because if I run this script here, what you are going to see is bash netclan. This is the number of logs. This is the authentication errors or failed. Instead of giving me the 81, I want to take just the 6 logs that failed around the NetClan Pro device. So if you are working under stress, under pressure, the manager can ask you, can you give us just the 6 logs that failed about the NetClan Pro device? So what you're going to do now is here, I'm going to retrieve the command, yes, grep. Here the command is, I want to see the patterns, the specific keywords. And what is the specific keyword? The specific keyword is NetClan, where inside the investigation NetClan test. So if I run, this is the number. So I can also say, if you give me, wait, okay, if you give me the number of investigation, take this output and send it now to a critical investigation dot test. So it's going now to send all the 6 devices to a file called investigation netclan. And if I run ls here, I'm going to see this. Okay, this is what we are going to do here. If we run, okay, yes, here with grep netclan, I can see the 6 devices, but it's not the 6 devices, it's one device that generated the same authentication failure. So this is what happens when you are using Linux. The goal with Linux is to speed up your processes, is to learn quickly instead of doing everything manually. I don't know if it's possible to read a 10,000 logs alone, line by line. I think it's not possible. That's why we write first scripts, and thanks to scripting, you can learn scripting with Bash step by step. Then you can learn scripting with Python. But it depends on the place where you work. This is what I wanted to show you today. So I'm going to send the resources today. You are going to see, then I'm going to give you a challenge based on the script I gave today. Then I'm going to ask you to customize it for me so that before 2 weeks, I'm going to review it myself. Because on Monday, I'm going to send a mountain to automation GitHub repo where we are going to store everything we do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vernon, for your time. And thank you all for the attendance. Yes.
Yes, for all the unanswered question, you can come with them on my DM. We can chat in time.
Great. Thank you very much. Mr. Vernon is always open to mentor and teach, and we're grateful for such a heart. Thank you very much. And so see you guys in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.